Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Welcome back to part 2 of my orange bonsai and casting cement pieces for my penjing. This orange tree was grown from a seed and I'll be repotting it today. In the last repotting of this tree, I had a really nice radial root base, so it'll be really interesting to see how that's developed over the last, 4 years. This tree doesn't really have a nice flowing structure, but you keep working on the roots and the top and eventually a nice tree will form. It's just a matter of time. Yesterday I pruned up my orange tree and I also started working on creating a roof for this section of the building. These buildings were originally designed as planters, so there's a big open space in the roof there. So I took a mold, a plasticine mold off the existing roof, and I filled it with cement, and I'm hoping I have a roof to put on top of the building now. So I'm dying to see how it turned out, so let's open this up first. Here's my plasticine mold of the roof that I filled with cement, so I'm going to try and peel the plasticine off now. And I don't know how much the cement will have stuck to the plasticine. That piece came off. This is the end piece. That came off okay, that's a good sign. Now I'll try the roof piece here. Turn that around so you can see it. So far it's separating really nicely. Yeah, here it comes. I don't know, does it look good? I can't see it from here. Here comes the other end piece. And now I'll try and take the bottom piece off. Well, that came apart really easily. So there is my roof. And it's not too bad. I kind of like that. It even got a bit of the ridge peak in here. If you see that? It's not quite on center, but it's not bad. Well, I think that turned out pretty good. It's fairly light too because it's got hollow. It's hollow underneath, so yeah, I think that turned out not too bad. I'm quite pleased with that. It's got the original tile texture in the roof, and it's got a nice curvature to it. Let's see if it fits in the building now. All right, I'll see if my new roof fits in the building. I doubt it will. It kind of might need a bit of trimming, I think. Yeah, it's a little wide. So I'll have to trim some of these edges off of the concrete. And I think I can just break them off. The top of the roof here is the right width. It's just, it flares out at the bottom. So I'll see if I can break that off with my hands. So there's just this little bit here. I might have to get some pliers and just kind of break it across there. All right, here I go with the pliers. This will either go well or not well. I'll try that and see if it fits. All right, let's test fit this piece in here. Oh, it's getting close. It's getting very close. Maybe just a little more off. I decided I need a file just to finish the end, so here I go. I'll just give it a smoothing. That'll get it all nicely squared up. Oh, that's working really well. Make a precision fit out of this. So that gets it nice and flat on the ends. Wow, that works really well. I'll just smooth this end up a bit more too. All right, let's try it once again. This time it has to work. It has to work. Oh, it does. Look at that. From the front, I can see it's not quite horizontal. And that is because there's one corner here it's binding on. I've just got to take a bit more off because it's rounded inside the pot there. So that should cure that. I can, yeah. So it's sitting on top of that soil I put in there now, so I can adjust the angle and the height however I want. But that's looking pretty good. I like that. You can see that the impression of the tiles isn't quite as defined as the plastic ones over here, but I think with a bit of, you know, paint and weathering, some washes, I think it'll match pretty closely. Here's a look at the building with the roof piece in place. I'm really pleased with it. It captured that ridge detail nicely. It got the impression of the tiles. They're not fully as deep as the plastic ones, but with a bit of a wash on them and some detailing, I can maybe scribe some lines down there. I think they'll look really good. I really enjoyed casting cement objects in the plasticine mold, so I'm going to be doing more of that in the future. I still have that Repotting temple in mind to build that and then grow a tree over top of it. So this may be a good method. I can make my pieces and make a plasticine mold and cast cement blocks and that. So yeah, I'm going to keep this method in mind for the future. Here's an overhead view of the new roof section. Yeah, it fits the style of the old one really well. I got all my materials together to paint the roof now, so I'll do that. I'll mix up a gray color of paint. I've got black and white. I'll mix them together to get the right gray color. And then I'll do a wash of black just to bring out the details in the roof. Paints are a little dusty. I haven't used them in a while. So I'll open them up. This is gloss black. I can't find my matte black. I may have used it all. I don't know. Anyway, so it's flat white mixed with matte black. It still should be matte when it comes out because it doesn't take much black to turn white, sort of a gray color. So, ooh, that white looks a little old. Looks like it needs a bit of mixing. I'm not going to mix up much paint here because it won't take a lot. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to go with this gray color. All right, so here I go. I'm going to start with just painting the cement. So I want to do two things. I want to highlight the tiles, and then I'll also want to highlight the shadows. So I'll put a wash on first, and then I'll dry brush a lighter gray over top. And the wash will be kind of a dark color. And I think that will do for the first application. There's a look at the roof now with the first coat of paint on. There's a look at the roof drying in the sun. You can see the color of it compared to the old roof. So I'm going to, do a wash to accent the shapes in the roof, the tiles. And I think that'll look pretty good. I think it'll match close enough that no one would ever notice that I added that roof to the building. While the paint is drying on the roof, I'll do the repotting work on my orange tree. I'll get the tree out of the pot. I hope I remember where the front is. I can always find it again. I'll get the tree out of the pot, like that. And then I can start raking out the roots. I placed the boot tray underneath the root mass here, so now I can start combing out the soil without making too much of a mess. Yeah, I'll be very interested to see what these roots look like. See how much these surface roots have thickened up and how imbalanced they are still, if they are. I'll get out the mister and I'll just keep spraying the roots so they don't dry out. This tree is just coming out of dormancy, so the roots are just waking up. I don't know when they'll actually start to grow, but I imagine in the next few weeks. So I'm just gently combing them out in a radial pattern, keeping them misted. It's nice to get another sunny day in the plant room here. We've had like, I don't know, we've had quite a few sunny days in a row now. It's really good for the trees. But you do have to water them a lot. Getting some nice trunk flare at the base of the tree. Looking really good. That last root pruning really helped. So it was buried a little deeper in the soil, so I can raise the tree up a little bit to expose a bit of that root flare now. That'll be exciting. I did get my new perlite in. I picked it up from Canadian Tire last night. So I have all the ingredients to make new bonsai soil. My turfus, or my safety zorb, and my perlite. So I'll be mixing some of that up today also. Well, so far the roots are looking really good. I'm quite pleased. I'm sure there'll be a lot of sorting out to do, but you know, that base of the tree is just, it's beautiful actually, I think. You look at that beautiful root flare at the base. So I'll have to work hard to get the top of the tree to match the quality of the root base, I think. At the moment, the top of the tree doesn't look that good. There's a drainage screen. Yeah, maybe I should start on the bottom now. Just be careful not to break any branches off here. There is another drainage screen. And another one. How many holes did that pot have? Well, I guess there's another one. So this one's a little harder to get out. There we go. I guess it had 4 holes. Alright, also I'll start combing out from the bottom. Again, starting from the center and combing outwards. I better spray this. It's a little dry on the bottom. I'm starting to see some woody roots down on the bottom here that I'll have to prune back. I want all the roots, the surface radial roots, doing all the work. I don't want roots growing down on the bottom, especially thick ones like this. The fine roots are okay, but when they thicken up, they need to be removed. So I'll cut that thickest one off there, and I may prune it back further once I can see the root base better. So there's still some thick roots going straight down here that I'll need to prune back. Big thick one here. Get rid of that. Another one here. Want the root ball to be flat on the bottom. Or root base. It's not really a ball, is it? Okay, some more combing now. Okay, that's looking quite good on the bottom. Let's flip the tree back over and have a look at the roots. Maybe I can just take a little more off the bottom here. Not a whole lot. I'm down to the wood. You know, that's about as low as I can go. That's the base of the tree right there. I've got the tree back right side up. And I'll continue combing out the roots. I can see some good thick surface roots forming. They're quite nice actually. So I'm slowly getting them untangled. And yes, it involves ripping a few of those crossing roots out. But you need that to get your root ball kind of clear so water and air can get down in the root system. If they're too compact and dense, it can make the tree unhealthy. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. I can start root pruning. I'll give them a spray down first. A bit of jet here. Kind of wash them off a bit so we can see what's going on. And now the precision root pruning starts. So if I rotate it around here, you can see some of the major surface roots coming down. You can see the curve from the trunk into the major surface roots. So there's one that's a little high here. I'll prune that away like that. Another one here. Want these surface roots to flow down nicely into the soil. There's a root here that kind of curls upwards. I don't want that. So I'm going to prune that back on an angle like that, taking that kind of lumpy end off. On this root, there's a root sticking up here. That needs to be pruned back. Now there's something funny happening here. There's a bit of a lump. The root coming out kind of a bit high, like this. I'm looking to see if there's a better root underneath. Not much there. Well, I don't know. I guess I think I have to live with that root. The only option is to cut it right off. There is a root kind of way down here. Maybe I should cut it right off. Okay, I will. So I'll take a little bit at first. Here I go, like that. Yeah, I think that was a good decision. I think there's a good root underneath here. Yeah. There's a crossing root in here I've got to get rid of. Don't know where that one came from, but root here I've got to get rid of. There's a root right here. It comes out in a nice radial pattern and then it takes a 90-degree turn here. So I got to prune off the part that's not radial. So here I go. Like that. There's a few roots that are kind of crossing here. I'll get rid of those. One's sticking up here. This root, it's not too high, but it comes out very horizontal, but I guess I can kind of, when I'm planting it, I can maybe put a rock on top or tuck it in under another root, so yeah. So it kind of flares down, kind of into the soil. There's a root here doing something funny. It kind of takes a strange turn. I'll try and untangle it. I think that's okay. I think I'll get rid of this thin one up top here. That doesn't look very good. Like that. I need my toothbrush to get rid of a bit of algae there too. Yeah. So from this position, that's a pretty good looking root base. All right, I'm going to have a final look at the roots. See if there's anything I need to remove. I might be able to clean that one up a bit better now. That one I pruned off. like that. A bit better. Yeah, I'd say the rest of the surface roots aren't too bad. I think, you know, another raking, prune the outside profile, and that will do us. All right, I'll do a final combing out of the roots here. Then I'll come in and I'll just prune around the edges of the roots to kind of equalize them. Take the vigor back on some of the more vigorous roots and let the smaller ones grow. And then I'll go underneath and I'll just have a look at those roots. So I'm just looking for roots going straight down. Cutting them back shorter. That's looking pretty good. I'm going to pick this pot for the tree. It's nice and big. It'll allow the roots to grow really nice and radial. It's large, so it should, you know, grow really vigorously in the soil and thicken up the trunk and get a good branch structure. So it's sort of, you know, almost a training pot size for this tree. So I think it'll be quite good. And it's fairly shallow, so the root system won't go too wildly out of control. All right, so I'll get drainage screens in here and a base layer of soil, which I have to mix up. There's my 2 soil ingredients. I use this Miracle-Gro Perlite on the left-hand side and Safety Zorb oil absorbent on the right-hand side. And I mix them about 50-50 by volume. And I sift out all the fine particles so I don't get all the dust and little microparticles in the soil, so it's a nice loose, airy soil mixture. I'm going to mix up my soil now. Normally I sift it to get rid of all the dust and the fine particles, but my sifters are in the greenhouse and I can't get to them unless I moved all my trees out. So I'm going to use unsifted soil today. It'll still work fine. It'll just be a little finer particles, which means I'll probably have to water a little less. Like that. There's 1 scoop. 1. Now I'll mix up the soil by hand. The nicest part of the root base is kind of towards the front here. So this may become the front of the tree just to have that nice root base. So I'll get drainage screens and a base layer of soil on the pot, and then we can plant the tree. My screens are in place, so I'll add a base layer of soil. And then I'll level it off. I still have my dust mask on. I'm going to position the tree in the pot now. There's a nice root system there. It's probably why I picked that as the front before. It has the nicest root system. Yeah, I think I'll plant it like that. Putting the nicest root system towards the front, and then I can style the rest of the tree to kind of look good from the front also. So as far as the height in the pot, it's not bad right there. And I'll have to determine where in the pot I want it. It's going to be slightly in the middle, but towards the back a bit. And the tree kind of leans to the right-hand side, so I'll offset it to the left a bit, which it kind of is right now. So I think somewhere about there looks pretty good. I'll have a final look from the front. I'm looking from the front now, and I think the tree could be tilted towards the left-hand side just a bit. It looks a little off balance. I think the tree needs to be tilted a bit more vertical. So I'll add some soil under the one side here. I think that looks good. It's got the tree in balance. So I'll start filling in soil around the roots now. The soil doesn't stay as dusty after it's got a bit of humidity in it. It's just that it's bone dry right from the package. I'll start working it into the root base now. Maintaining the attitude of my tree. Just filling up all those air spaces. I'll add a little more soil around the base of the tree here and get that worked in. So you can just kind of see the flare at the base of the trunk there. And the growing parts of the roots are safely hidden in the soil. There's a look at the base of the tree. So I think I got the planting height just perfect. I'm just giving it a misting now. And then I can give it a watering. I can finally take my mask off and water the tree. So here I go. Here's a look at the orange tree now, all planted and ready to grow. I'll rotate it around so you can see it from all angles. So here I go. Coming around to the right side. The back view. The left side, and back around to the front. And the front may change in the future, who knows. This tree needs a lot of development still. But the root base is underway, and I'll try and grow it into a nice bonsai in the future. The first coat of paint is almost dry on my cement roof, so I'll go back to working on the penjing now. My next step on this roof is to give it a dark wash, so a sort of a muted black wash. And it'll bring out all the details in it. So I'll get it out now. I'll create a wash, which is just a mixture of black paint and thinners. So it'll be a dilute mixture. And then you brush it on and it kind of fills in all the little cracks and it brings out the details. So I'll do that and I'll try it out. I'll just try it on a little section at first. Yeah, it's working okay. And that's good. I'll let that dry and then I'll highlight the raised portions. There's a look at the roof in place with the dark wash on it. So it's matching quite nicely. I just have to brush on the highlights and I think that'll look perfect then. I'm going to have to let that paint dry though overnight before I do that. It's that first layer was a little soft and I put the wash on and that softened it up more. So yeah, I'll have to be patient. I'll have to finish it up on tomorrow's video. It's so nice to have my orange tree pruned up and repotted and ready to grow. And it's nice working on the penjing, refining it further. And that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.